What you cling to is what hurts you. The mind froze, not because it was startled, but because it recognized something it had always known, but could never speak. The grip loosened, the breath softened, the silence arrived. There is something strange about this moment, this very breath, when you finally realize you've spent your entire life holding on to what was never yours. Thoughts that were never true, identities that were only borrowed, a self that never truly existed. You wake up one morning and notice the thoughts are still happening, but they are not you. The emotions still ripple, but they pass like clouds across the sky. The body still moves, but something deeper is watching. What is watching? That question alone is enough to unravel 1,000 lifetimes of delusion. A name was given to you, but you are not the name. A story was written for you, but you are not the story. A fear was taught to you, but you are not the fear. What you are cannot be spoken. What you are is not a thing at all. The illusion of self is the oldest magic trick, and the cost of believing it is suffering. You chase a phantom called I, believing it must be completed, fixed, healed, improved, validated. But what if there is no one there to complete? The one who suffers is the one who believes he exists. Look closer. What is the self made of? A thought, a memory, a habit. And when those pass, what remains? Breathe again. Now feel without naming, without labeling, without holding. Who feels? Who watches the feeling arise? There is no center, no solid me, only process, only movement, only awareness flowing through form like wind through trees. And the trees don't cling to the wind. Let go of the illusion, and suddenly nothing is missing. What you feared losing was never truly yours. What you clung to was never truly here. And what you are has never been touched by time, identity, or pain. Look at the river. It never asks where it's going. It never doubts its flow. It simply moves without a name, without control, without resistance. Yet in that surrender, it becomes vast, unstoppable, and free. So too is this life. So too are you when you let go of being you. Impermanence is not the enemy. It is the doorway. Everything that changes is a teacher. Everything that falls apart is a liberation. The leaf falls, not because it fails, but because it has completed its part in the dance. Why do you fear change? Because you fear disappearing. But what disappears is what was never truly here. Even the pain, even the desire, even the ego. It arises, it passes, and what remains? Look again. There is something beneath the change, not a thing, not an idea, but the space that allows it all to arise. That space is you, the ungraspable, the unborn, the unmoving, the mirror in which all thoughts appear, but which clings to none. And so suffering is not from pain, it is from grasping. The tighter you hold, the more it cuts. The more you chase, the more it runs. And in your desperate attempt to possess happiness, you lose the only thing that was ever yours, peace. The Buddha did not teach you how to fix the world. He taught you how to stop clinging to it, because the world was never broken. It only looked that way through eyes that were attached. Let go, not to lose, but to see clearly. To see things as they are not as you wish them to be. See the moment. Feel the breath. Watch the mind rise like mist and dissolve without argument. What effort is needed to be here? None, because presence does not require doing it, only requires non-resistance. The breath is already happening. The silence is already full. The self has already vanished. You just haven't noticed. Sit quietly. Watch the breath, not to control it, but to ride it like a leaf on a stream. Let it guide you. Let it show you that all movement arises from stillness. Every sound, every thought, every emotion, they come from silence and return to it. You do not need to escape anything. You only need to stop running. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You are not the thought. You are the witness. You are not the breath. You are the space in which breath unfolds. And that space cannot be harmed, cannot be owned, cannot be lost. The ego panics in the face of this truth. It whispers, but if I let go, who will I be? The answer is silence. Not because there is no answer, but because the question was never real. The question was never real, because the one asking it never existed. The wind never asks where to blow. The mountain never asks what it means to be still. The moon never questions its reflection in the water. They simply are. And so must you return not to some better version of yourself, but to the truth before all versions. The mind will protest. It will scream, but I must become something. And the heart, if quiet enough, will whisper, you already are. This is not a becoming. This is a remembering. Remember the stillness before the thought. Remember the awareness before the name. Remember the breath before desire arose. Every time you return to the breath, you return to truth. Every time you let go, the chains of suffering dissolve, not by force, but by seeing clearly. Craving is a dream. Possession is a dream. The past, the future, all dreams. And the one who chases them sleeps. You are not here to chase. You are here to wake up. The Buddha never taught a path of addition, only subtraction. Remove what is false. Remove what clings. Remove what separates. And what remains is enough. Look at the mirror. It reflects everything but holds nothing. Be like that. Let the world come and go in your awareness, without resistance, without grasping, without identification. Joy comes, pain comes, laughter, anger, desire, stillness, all arise, all pass. You don't need to hold them. They were never asking to be held. They were only asking to be seen. And seen clearly, they vanish like mist in morning sun. This is the gift of the breath. It anchors you in what is real, not in ideas, not in thoughts, but in this inhale, this exhale, this moment, unfiltered, undivided, complete. And in this moment, there is no self to protect, no past to regret, no future to fear, just presence naked, unadorned, and free. The lotus does not rush to bloom. It opens because the sun is present. So too with your heart. Stop reaching. Stop becoming. Just be still and watch. What arises in stillness reveals all things. The mind says, I must understand. The heart says, just listen. Because the truth is not an answer. It's a silence that ends all questions. Let it wash over you. Let it burn what is not real. Let it leave you with nothing. And in that nothing there is peace. When the self is not there, there is nothing to hurt. When the self is not there, there is nothing to lose. When the self is not there, everything flows, like a stream carving stone, like wind through pine, like the moonlight touching the skin of the ocean, with no effort, no plan, no identity, only presence, pure unbroken presence. You are not the wave crashing against life. You are the ocean, remembering its depth. Let go of trying, let go of fixing, let go of healing, even let go of letting go. And what remains is what's always been. Listen, the silence is speaking. It says you were never apart. It says you are the breath, not the one who breathes. It says everything you feared was just a ripple on the surface. Go deeper, not by searching, but by stopping. There is nothing to attain, no goal to reach, because everything is already here if you would just be still. Still enough to feel the breath, not as something happening to you, but as you. Still enough to feel the heartbeat, not as noise, but as music. Still enough to realize the world doesn't need to be different. It only needs to be seen without judgment, without clinging, without the story. What if every moment was already sacred, and the only thing that made it ordinary was your resistance? This is not theory. This is not belief. This is not a spiritual idea. It is reality uncovered. When the eye of clinging closes, the heart of truth opens. When the mind grows quiet, the soul becomes clear. And what you see is not something new. It's something ancient, eternal, and always within reach. The present is not a place you visit. It's the home you forgot you never left. You wandered far in thought. You got lost in self. But the moment you stop running, the path disappears. Because there was never a path, only this breath, this stillness, this now. And in this now there is no need to awaken, because awakening has already happened. The mind simply hasn't noticed. So notice now, not with force, but with surrender. Notice how nothing clings to you unless you reach for it. Notice how the sky does not hold the birds, and still they fly. You do not need to hold life. It is flying anyway. You only need to witness and let go. And in that letting go, you become whole again. To become whole again is not to regain anything. It is to stop dividing yourself. There was never anything missing, only the illusion of separation, a mirage built from thought, from fear, from clinging. The river never left the ocean. The flame never left the sun. And you have never left this moment. You simply forgot to look, not with your eyes, but with awareness. Awareness that sees without name, that feels without owning, that touches without grasping. Watch a child before it learns language. It sees everything but labels, nothing. The tree is not tree. The sky is not sky. There is no category, no comparison, no judgment. There is only seeing. That is freedom, and that freedom has never been lost, only covered by the noise of mind. Peel it back, peel it gently, peel it like skin from fruit, like mist from the mountain, one breath at a time. No rush, no pressure. The truth waits patiently. It does not shout. It does not chase. It is like the moon behind clouds, untouched, unaffected, simply waiting for you to stop searching. Because only when you stop searching can you see. The seeking is the veil. The striving is the noise. The clinging is the suffering. So let go, not because you must, but because you're tired. Tired of effort. Tired of running. Tired of holding a world that was never yours to carry. And when you're finally tired enough, you rest. You surrender. And in that surrender, everything is given. Not in the form you imagined, not in the story you wrote, but in something deeper, simpler, more real than words can touch. The sound of wind in bamboo, the pause between the notes of a flute, the feeling of breath as it leaves your body and does not ask to return. This is not poetic. This is the texture of reality when mind grows quiet. Can you feel it now? Don't answer. Just sit. Just breathe. Let the silence teach you what the words never could. The mind will say, "But I must understand." And the silence will reply, "You already do." Understanding is not mental. It is being. It is not grasped. It is realized. When you stop trying to catch it, it settles upon you like soft rain. And in that soft rain, the old fears dissolve. The old self cracks open, and the light inside that's always been there begins to shine. Not as ego, not as persona, not as performance, but as pure being. Radiant without reason, full without effort, alive without needing a name. This is what you are. This is what you've always been. The mind resists because it wants complexity. The truth is too simple, too quiet, too still. But that stillness is your refuge. It is the home that does not move when storms pass. It is the mountain that watches centuries of change without ever leaving itself. Be like that, still, unmoving, unafraid. The world will dance around you. Let it. Let everything rise and fall. Let people come and go. Let plans fail. Let time pass. Let memories fade. You are not any of it. You are the space they pass through, and the space is never harmed. Look deeply into that. Where is the boundary of your awareness? Can you find it? You cannot, because it is not bound. Not by skin, not by thought, not by form. Awareness is not inside you. You are inside it. And when you see this, even for a moment, you become free. Free from the illusion of control. Free from the burden of becoming. Free from the suffering of me. There is no one here, only presence, only this, and this is already whole. So why struggle? Why reach? Why grasp at clouds and call it achievement? There is no arrival. There is no end. There is only unfolding like petals, in sunlight, like breath, in stillness, like consciousness, remembering itself. You don't walk the path. You are the path. And every step you take, if walked with awareness, is already the destination. There is nothing to find, only something to see clearly. To see that pain arises and passes, to see that thought arises and fades, to see that fear arises and teaches, to see that everything you pushed away was only asking to be met, to be held in presence, to be loved. Even the darkness, especially the darkness, you cannot escape it, but you can stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, it loses its teeth. It becomes your mirror. It shows you what still clings, what still resists, what still believes in a me that must be defended. And when you meet it with silence, not denial, not judgment. It bows. The darkness bows. The pain bows. The self bows. And what remains is peace, not the peace that comes from outside, not the peace that depends on outcome, but the peace that arises when nothing is denied and everything is seen. The peace of no resistance, the peace of surrender, the peace of simply being. Breathe, not to control, but to witness this moment, this now, this infinite stillness hiding in the ordinary. This infinite stillness hiding in the ordinary. It's always been here, in the pause between your thoughts, in the space between your words, in the moment just before the inhale and just after the exhale. You missed it not because it was hidden, but because you were too busy searching for something louder. But truth is quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't force itself into your awareness. It waits, like the moon above a clouded sky, unchanged by the winds below. And when the clouds part even for a breath, it reveals what was never missing. Stillness, silence, peace. We believe we must do something to attain it, but it's not something you get. It's what remains when you stop chasing, stop running, stop trying to fix what was never broken. Do you see now? The fixing was the fracture. The seeking was the separation. The effort was the illusion. What you are before the layers of story and shame is already enough. It always has been. Not enough for the world, not enough for comparison, not enough for ego, but enough for life. Enough to sit quietly, enough to breathe without needing to prove, enough to be here and know that here is sacred, that this breath is sacred, that this silence is sacred. The sacred was never somewhere else. You only forgot to see it because the mind doesn't recognize what it can't own, and awareness cannot be owned. It cannot be possessed, improved, or measured. It can only be remembered, and you remember by letting go. Let go of the voice that says you must be more. Let go of the fear that says you are not ready. Let go of the timeline that says you must arrive somewhere other than this. There is no timeline. There is no race. There is only presence unfolding. And you, when you stop clinging, are that unfolding. Effortless, graceful, real. There is a quiet power in those who stop needing to become. They radiate something unshakable. Not pride, not certainty, but peace. You feel it in the way they move slowly, in the way they listen deeply, in the way their eyes are not trying to convince you of anything, because they are not trying to convince themselves of anything either. They have stopped pretending, stopped performing, stopped needing to be seen, because they have already seen themselves truly. And what they found was not an image, but a space, not a person, but a presence. And that presence is what you are before your name, before your past, before your story began. You are not a character on the stage. You are the stage itself. And everything that happens, every joy, every sorrow, every triumph and loss, is a passing scene. Let it pass. Let it all pass. You don't need to hold on to the good. You don't need to run from the painful. You only need to watch with the eyes of stillness, with the gaze of awareness. And the more you watch, the more you see nothing stays. Everything changes. Even the parts you thought were you. The anger, the pride, the longing, the beliefs, they shift, they melt, they disappear. And still, something remains. What is it? What watches it all? What hears the voice in your mind? That watcher is not a thought. It is not a belief. It is not a person. It is presence. and it cannot be harmed. It does not suffer. Only the one who believes the voice suffers. Only the one who clings to thought suffers. But the watcher is free, always. So shift your attention from what moves to what witnesses, from the waves to the ocean, from the flame to the light it reveals. There is no awakening to create, only awakening to uncover. And you uncover it not by force, but by softness. Softness is not weakness. It is courage without armor. It is surrender without defeat. It is strength without resistance. Be soft enough to stop fighting life. Be soft enough to see clearly, to feel what is here, to let go of what no longer serves. This is the path not upward, but inward, not forward, but deeper. And as you go deeper, the self begins to dissolve, not because you are disappearing, but because you are becoming more real. Not a mask, not a role, not a version, just this bare present living truth that cannot be spoken, only known in stillness. And when you know it not through thought, but through being, you stop seeking, because the seeking burns away, and what remains is quiet, a quiet that does not need a name, a quiet that embraces everything, even the noise, even the fear, even the forgetting, because nothing is excluded. This truth leaves nothing behind. Even your deepest confusion belongs. Even your resistance is part of the unfolding. Even your clinging is just another wave. So don't push it away. Let it be seen. Let it be held in presence. And watch as it softens. Watch as it returns to the silence it came from, the silence it never truly left. You don't need to force this. You only need to stop pretending that you are separate from it. You are not a seeker walking toward truth. You are truth, pretending to be a seeker. And once you remember that, the journey ends, because it never began. There is only this, only now, only breath, only silence. And in this silence, you are home. Not a place, not a destination, but the space within you that has never moved. The sky does not follow the clouds. The ocean does not follow the waves. And awareness does not follow thought. It only watches. It only allows. And in that allowing there is profound liberation. No resistance, no tension, no effort to become what you already are. Let this moment be enough. Even with its imperfection, even with its messiness, even with the mind whispering that you should be somewhere else, someone else, something else. Let that voice arise, but do not follow it. It is only sound, only habit, only the echo of a false self trying to survive in a world that never needed it. The self was never solid, only a pattern, a collection of memories dressed in urgency, a reflection mistaken for a face. But now the mirror is clear. Now you can see there is nothing to defend, nothing to prove, nothing to become. The warrior who stops fighting becomes the sage. The seeker who stops walking becomes the path. The one who stops becoming becomes real. So sit with this, not in posture, not in ritual, but in the posture of the soul, still bare listening. Everything you need is already here. The breath that enters, a gift. The silence that surrounds it, your oldest companion. Do not look elsewhere. There is no elsewhere. Only this, only now. Only awareness blooming like a flower that does not ask to be seen. It simply opens, softly, without permission, without apology. And so must you. Let your breath open you. Let your silence hold you. Let your stillness remind you there is no arrival. There is only presence deepening again and again and again, until even the need to deepen disappears, until only being remains. Being not as concept, but as direct experience. Being not as thought, but as felt truth. Being not as identity, but as the absence of all that divides. It is here, now, in this very breath, in the warmth of your hands, in the space between thoughts. Do you feel it? Not with effort, but with presence. The way you feel the wind when you stop running. The way you feel the sun when you stop hiding. There is nothing more to seek, because the one who was seeking has dissolved. And what remains is not a person, not a soul, not a story, but something beyond name, beyond form, beyond self, and yet more intimate than your own skin, more real than any possession, more alive than any dream. It does not begin. It does not end. It watches all beginnings. It welcomes all endings. And through it all, it remains, like the space that holds the stars, like the silence that holds all sound, like the stillness that holds every storm. That is you, not the idea of you, not the image of you, but the unspoken presence that has always been. So rest in it, breathe in it, trust it, and let it carry you, like a leaf on water, like a feather in wind, like a thought before it becomes thought. Surrender is not defeat. It is the highest courage to stop grasping, to stop controlling, to stop pretending, and in that stopping, to return to the truth that needs no belief, return to the peace that needs no proof, return to the love that needs no object. This love, not desire, not possession, not romance, but the love that sees clearly, the love that says nothing is separate, not the trees, not the sky, not your breath, not even your fear, all of it, held in the same field of presence, all of it, accepted. Because awareness rejects nothing, it allows what is, and by allowing, it heals, not by fixing, but by seeing, by embracing, by being still enough to say, yes, even this sadness, even this anger, even this doubt, even this emptiness, there is space for it all. And that space is your true self, not the self that demands, not the self that judges, but the selfless self, the mirror, the vessel, the silence. And in that silence, all things return to rest. The mind softens, the body loosens, the heart opens, and the soul remembers, not with words, not with thoughts, but with being, with presence, with breath. This breath, right now, that is all. There is nothing beyond this breath, nothing greater, nothing smaller, just this. And in this, everything, the entire universe, rising and falling in a single inhale, the entire path walked in a single exhale. No distance, no separation, just presence unfolding in perfect stillness. So breathe and be still and remember what you never truly forgot. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not the thought. You are the awareness. You are not the one suffering. You are the one watching. And the one watching has never suffered. It only sees. It only is. Always. Already. Now, this is the only doorway. The past is a shadow. The future is a dream. But now is untouched by thought, by fear, by desire. Now is the still point around which the world turns. And you are that still point, not something you reach, something you realize, again and again, like a bell that rings through your being, calling you not forward, but inward, not to do, but to be, to dissolve into this moment, like salt into water, no trace of separation, no need to be anything other than here. The trees are not trying to be trees. The wind is not trying to be free. The sky does not struggle to hold the stars. Why must you struggle to be what you already are? This pressure to become, to improve, to succeed, to control, is the great deception. It whispers, you are not enough yet, and you believe it. You build your days around it, your fears, your goals, your restlessness. But now, the illusion is cracking, and in the space between each broken thought, something truer shines through, something quieter, something weightless, a glimpse of what has always been behind the noise. Listen, it's not far, it's closer than close. It is what is listening right now, what is aware of these words, not the thinking, not the labeling, but the seeing, the pure unborn awareness that needs no effort. You do not create it. You cannot lose it. You can only forget and remember. And even forgetting happens inside of it, like clouds passing through an endless sky. They change nothing. They only obscure, and even that only for a moment. The sky is patient. It does not rush the clouds. It does not fight the storm. It knows what it is, and so must you. You are not here to become something. You are here to remember what you've never not been. And in that remembrance, there's no striving, only simplicity, only softness, only surrender. This is what it means to awaken, not to gain, but to shed, to remove what was never you, to release what was never needed, to stand naked in presence with nothing left to defend. And in that emptiness, fullness, in that silence, wisdom, in that stillness, the entire universe humming effortlessly. There is no fear here, because there is nothing to protect. There is no craving here, because nothing is missing. There is no pride here, because there is no one to be superior. There is only the great breath of being rising, falling, returning. And you are not separate from it. You are the breath itself. You are the rhythm. You are the song before sound. So sit with this. Let it settle in your bones. Let it echo through your ribs like a temple bell struck by grace. Let it wash through your body like moonlight on an empty field. There is no teacher outside of this moment, no temple holier than your breath, no scripture more sacred than your stillness. This is the way. The ancient masters pointed to it with silence. They knew words could only touch the edge, but you can live it. You can breathe it. You can become it by becoming nothing at all. Do you see now? All your becoming was a forgetting. All your effort was resistance. And all your suffering was a refusal to surrender to what already is. You have nothing to fear in stillness, only in clinging. The silence is not your enemy. It is your invitation to rest, to release, to remember. You don't need to carry the past anymore. You don't need to outrun the future. You only need to return to this breath, to this moment, to this exact unfolding of reality, just as it is. No commentary, no judgment, no improvement, just the raw open presence of now. And in that presence, the self fades, not because you've lost yourself, but because you've found something far deeper. Life without a center, awareness without an edge, peace without a reason. love, without an object. This is the peace of no self, the joy of non-grasping, the stillness of seeing things as they are. The Buddha called it liberation. Not a state you reach, but a truth you stop resisting. It was always here, behind your fear, behind your striving, behind the walls you built around your heart. And now, the walls are gone. The illusion has fallen, and nothing is left but everything. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in the shape of a drop for a time. But even the shape is not fixed. Even the form is not bound. It changes, it dies, it returns. But the ocean remains. And so do you. Beyond the body, beyond the name, beyond the story. As what? Not a soul, not a spirit, not even a witness, but the empty clarity in which all of these appear, the space behind the eyes, the stillness inside the breath, the silence at the center of sound. That is home. That is now. That is what you are. Not the thought of it, not the idea, but the direct, living, breathing truth of this moment, untouched, unowned, unbound. And once you see it, even for a second, you cannot fully forget, because a part of you remembers. It always did. Like the ground beneath your feet, though covered by leaves, it has always been supporting you. Like the stars hidden by daylight, the truth was always shining, even if unseen. This is the beginning of freedom. Not the kind they sell, not the kind you chase, but the kind that happens when you stop running, when you stop needing to be somewhere else, when you look deeply at this moment and whisper, enough, enough striving, enough performing, enough needing to be anything but here. And in that moment, something softens, the shoulders drop, the breath deepens, the war ends, not with victory, but with understanding. Suffering was never a punishment. It was a teacher. It only hurt because it had something to show you. And when you stop resisting, the lesson appears, like a lotus rising from the mud, like a tear falling into stillness. You see it. You bow to it. You let it go. This is the real letting go, not forced, not dramatic, but effortless, because you've finally seen that there's nothing to hold on to. What you tried to possess was never truly yours. What you feared losing was never truly here. Even the self, especially the self, it was always just a dance of thoughts, a flicker of memory, a mask worn so long you thought it was your skin. But now the mask is falling, and beneath it, silence, not empty, but full. Full of what? Full of space, full of peace, full of the quiet joy that arises when nothing needs to happen. Have you tasted it, even for a breath? The joy of simply being, not because things are perfect, not because the pain is gone, but because you are no longer in conflict with what is. That is the real peace, the peace of no resistance, the peace of truth seen clearly, the peace of a heart that says yes. Even this fear, even this ache, even this not knowing, all of it, welcome, all of it, part of the dance. And who watches the dance? Who sees all things come and go? It is not the thinker. It is not the doer. It is not even the one who says, I am watching. It is deeper than language, deeper than experience. It is the vast silent presence in which experience arises. And that is not yours. It is not something you possess. It is what you are, not separate, not divided, not in pieces, whole, complete, unchanging, like the sky. You cannot grasp the sky, but you can rest in it. You can breathe under it. You can surrender to its vastness, and in doing so discover your own. The Buddha pointed not to a heaven, but to a seeing so clear, so still, so direct, that the illusion of self cannot survive it. It shatters like glass in sunlight, and what's left? Silence, but not dead silence. Alive silence, the kind that hums beneath everything, the kind that holds the stars, the kind that listens without ears, without mind, without needing to understand. That silence is here, even now, behind these words, beneath your breath, between each heartbeat. You don't need to earn it. You only need to stop covering it. Like clouds moving from the face of the moon, the light is already there. Let it shine. Let it warm you. Let it dissolve the frost of fear. Because fear cannot live in this moment. Only in the imagined. Only in the future. Only in the illusion of control. But here, in this breath, what is there to fear? What needs to be done? What needs to be different? Nothing. And that is the great secret. The world has been trying to convince you that something is missing, that you are broken, that you must fix, improve, become. But that was the dream. And now you are waking up, waking into a truth too simple to sell, too quiet to shout, too close to chase. It is here, and it has always been, in the way the wind moves through the trees, in the way the breath enters and leaves, in the way stillness never asks for attention and yet holds everything. You are not separate from it. You never were. The separation was imagined, a thought believed too deeply, a story told too often. But now the story is dissolving, and what remains needs no name. Call it presence, call it truth, call it Buddha nature, call it awareness, or call it nothing. It doesn't mind. It has never needed your words, only your silence, only your seeing, only your return. So return. Return to now. Return to the breath. Return to the simplicity that was here long before your mind made life complicated. And let that simplicity carry you, like a river carries a leaf. No need to push, no need to steer. Just float, just be, just remember. There is nothing wrong with you. There never was. There is only the forgetting, and now the remembering, not of who you are, but of what you are. And what you are cannot be harmed, because it was never born. And what was never born can never die. The body will change. The mind will forget. The breath will rise and fall. And one day it will stop. But what watches all of this, that pure, unshaken awareness, it does not begin and it does not end. It is not yours. It is not you. It is all things seeing through you. And when the illusion of ownership fades, all fear fades with it. You are not living a life. Life is living itself through what you call you. And the more you let go of control, the more graceful the movement becomes. You begin to move like nature does, without effort, without force, without argument. The tree doesn't ask how to grow. The moon doesn't ask when to rise. They simply follow the rhythm of what is. So too can you. So too must you if you wish to stop suffering. Because all suffering is a resistance to what is. All suffering is the cry of a self who refuses to vanish. But what is so frightening about vanishing? Only to the mind that believes it is real. Only to the ego that thinks it is the center. But to awareness, to truth. Vanishing is not death. It is freedom. Freedom from the prison of identity. Freedom from the noise of comparison. freedom from the belief that you are separate, isolated, alone. You are not alone. You are not even a you. There is only presence flowing in countless forms. There is only this one breath shared by the world, passed from tree to wind, to animal, to sky, to you. And it asks for nothing. It gives everything. It does not belong to you. It moves through you. So breathe, like the whole world is breathing with you, because it is. You do not exist apart from it. You are it. The drop may believe it is apart, but the ocean has never forgotten. The mountain does not carry its weight. It simply is. So stop carrying yourself. You were never meant to. Put it down. Put down the burden of me. Put down the belief that you are something fixed. Put down the endless fight to be something more. And just be. Not as an act of laziness, but as the highest act of wisdom. To be still is not to do nothing. It is to do the most honest thing. To stop lying to yourself. To stop pretending the wave can hold the ocean. To stop acting as if you are apart from what is. Everything you've ever feared has been your own reflection in a mirror you refuse to look into. But now you're looking, and what do you see? Not a person, not a name, not a problem to be solved. Just awareness. Just this, a still flame that doesn't flicker, even when the world is burning. A quiet center that holds even when everything else falls. You thought you needed strength, but you only needed truth. And the truth is this: you are already home. You never left. You only dreamed you were lost. And the moment you stop believing the dream, you wake. You don't awaken by force. You don't awaken by effort. You awaken the way the sky brightens before dawn, quietly, inevitably, light creeping in, soft but unstoppable. And in that light, all falsehood fades, all illusions dissolve, even the illusion that awakening is something to get. It is not a prize. It is not a goal. It is your natural state, uncovered, like a pearl hidden beneath layers of mud. The mud was never part of you. Only the world taught you to believe it was. Now you see through it. You see that pain does not define you. Trauma does not limit you. Thoughts do not contain you. Even fear is just a ripple, and you are the ocean beneath it. So sit with your fear, not to fight it, not to fix it, but to understand it, to see it, to breathe with it. And you'll find it softens, it loosens, it passes, because everything does. This too, whatever this is right now, it will pass. Not because you made it pass, but because that is its nature. Everything changes. Even the things you swore would last forever. Even the feelings you thought would kill you. Even the longing you built your identity around. They come, they go, and what remains? Not what you expected, not what you were told. Something deeper, something quieter, something that doesn't need to be named because the naming would only shrink it. It is enough to feel it, to sense it, like morning fog on the skin, to bow to it not because you are small, but because it is true. The ego wants answers, the heart wants peace, and peace is not found in answers. Peace is found in the space where questions fade, the space where doing ends, the space where you stop, and everything keeps moving, and you realize you were never making life happen. You were only blocking it. Now you are open. Now it flows. Now you disappear. And what remains is what has always been. Awareness, presence, stillness. Call it Buddha nature. Call it the Dharma. Call it the truth. But call it with silence, because silence hears what sound cannot say. It is the language of the awakened. It is the resting place of those who no longer need to prove. When all words fall away, when all concepts break open, silence remains, not as the absence of life, but as its true voice. It speaks through the wind in the trees, through the breath between your ribs, through the stillness that rises after the storm of thought dissolves. And in that stillness, truth becomes visible, not as an idea, not as a belief, but as a felt presence, deep and quiet and unmistakable. A presence that says nothing was ever wrong. Not with the world, not with you. Only the lens was clouded. Only the mind was spinning. And now that it's still, the truth returns. The same truth the Buddha saw under the Bodhi tree. The same truth that rises in every dawn. That suffering ends, not when life is perfect, but when resistance ends. The thorn hurts not because it is sharp, but because the hand won't let go. Let go, not as an act of defeat, but as a release into what already is. Do you see? You never held the sky. You only held tension in your hands. Now open them. Let the sky move through you. Let the moment breathe without your control. You don't need to manage reality. You don't need to become a master of the mind. You only need to remember what is watching the mind quietly, always. The mind changes, but the watcher does not. The emotions come and go, but the space they rise in does not. That space is your freedom, not in some future life, not at the end of a spiritual journey, but now, in this ordinary moment, where the breath moves through your body and asks for nothing, no improvement, no achievement, just attention, gentle, loving, unfiltered attention. This is the heart of mindfulness. To meet each moment without armor, to meet each breath as if it were your last, because one day it will be. And when that final exhale comes, what will you hold? What will you wish you had known? Not more knowledge, not more titles, not more things. Only this, that you were always enough, that you never needed to grasp. That, all of it, the joy, the sorrow, the beauty, the breaking, was sacred. And the only thing you were asked to do was be here for it, fully, naked in awareness, soft in heart, still in soul. That's all. And that's everything. The masters knew this. They didn't shout it. They didn't sell it. They lived it quietly in the way they walked, in the way they listened, in the way they sat beneath trees and smiled at nothing at all. Because nothing was enough. Can you feel that? Can you sit in a room with nothing and feel whole? Can you let go of becoming and feel free? Can you let silence wrap around you like a blanket and not try to escape? If you can, even for one moment, you've remembered, you've returned, you've tasted the simplicity that ends all searching. And now the question is no longer, how do I awaken? The question is, can I stop leaving what is already awake? You see, awakening isn't an event. It's a surrender, a relaxation into what's always been true. Not a flash of light from the heavens, but the slow, steady softening of everything false. You stop believing the mind. You stop defending the ego. You stop needing to control. And in that stopping, there is peace. A peace that doesn't depend on outcomes. A peace that includes even your sadness, even your anger, even your forgetting, because all of it belongs, not to you, but to this moment, to this one sacred unfolding. Let it unfold. Let yourself be part of it, without commentary, without judgment. Just as wind passes through the forest, so too does life pass through you. And you need only allow it. nothing more. The highest wisdom is the most simple. The deepest truth is the most obvious. So simple that the mind overlooks it. So obvious that the ego ignores it. But the heart always knew. It has always whispered in your quietest moments. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not separate. You are already home. And now you're listening, not with ears, not with thought, but with the whole of your being. Now you are still. And in that stillness, you remember. This moment does not need your control. This breath does not need your effort. This life does not need your improvement. It only needs your presence. Nothing else, nothing more. You have arrived because you never left. You are whole because you never were apart. You are silent because sound was only ever echo. Let that be enough. Let that simplicity fill you. Let that quiet undo you, so that what remains is not a version of you, but the truth of what is. And in that truth, there is no one left to suffer. Only the breath, only the moment, only the vast open stillness of now. Not the now you measure with time, but the now that is timeless, the now that was here before your first memory, the now that will remain after your last breath. It has no beginning, no end. It is not a moment between past and future. It is what holds both. It is the canvas upon which all of life is painted. And you are not the painting. You are the canvas, empty, still, untouched, but capable of holding all things. Joy and sorrow, birth and death, loss and love. The path and the end of the path. It holds it all, without clinging, without resisting, without asking for anything in return. Can you live like that? Not seeking to take, not needing to add, not rushing to understand, but simply allowing life to move through you like wind through an open window. No need to close, no need to open, just being the window, just being the space. The ego says, "But what about me?" And the silence replies, "What me?" When you look for it, where is it? In the breath, in the bones, in the name your parents gave you. Where is the I that suffers? Where is the me that needs to be fixed? You won't find it, because it's not there. Only thought, only image, only memory, flickering shadows on the wall of your awareness. And you are not the shadows. You are the wall, unmoving, ever present. You have spent so long chasing the light, you forgot you were the space in which light and darkness both appear. Let it return to you. Now this knowing that does not speak in words, but in silence. This truth that cannot be proven, only lived. Stop thinking, just for a breath, and listen to what's beneath the thinking. That quiet, that soft hum, that space before the next thought arrives. That is where the real begins, where suffering ends, where peace is not something to earn, but something to notice. Do you see? It was never hidden, only ignored, only drowned beneath layers of noise and striving and self-concern. But now, the noise is fading, the mind is slowing, and in that slowing you meet the truth face to face, not as something outside of you, but as what you are when the mind stops pretending. So let it stop. Let the mind drop its tools. Let the heart put down its defenses. Let the breath return you home. No fixing, no becoming, no doing. Just this, just stillness, just presence. Even the word presence begins to feel like too much, because what you are is before even that. Not a state, not an identity, but the spacious silent witnessing in which states arise and dissolve. You've tried so hard to awaken. You've read. You've meditated. You've searched for signs and teachers and techniques, but all of them were pointing to this: not a future version of yourself, not a more perfect world, but this very moment, this very breath, this unremarkable, miraculous, ordinary now. Let it break your heart open. Let it flood your mind with stillness. Let it dissolve everything you thought you were, and watch. Nothing is lost. Only the illusion, only the mask, only the restless dream that something was missing. But nothing was missing. You were simply distracted. You were simply asleep. Now, the dream is ending, not with a bang, not with a celebration, but with a breath, with a deep exhale, with a soft smile that says, "Ah, I remember now." And what do you remember? That this world is not separate from you, that your thoughts are not the enemy, that your pain is not a mistake, that your being raw and unpolished is already sacred. You remember that the path is not about getting somewhere. It's about seeing clearly where you are. It's about turning toward what you used to avoid. It's about standing in the fire of the present moment and realizing it doesn't burn. It illuminates, because the truth does not destroy, it reveals. It reveals that even your flaws were doorways. Even your confusion was a teacher. Even your darkest moments were the fertile soil in which awakening grew. Nothing was wasted. Not a second. Not a mistake. Not a tear. All of it was the path. And now the path ends. Or maybe it never began, because you've arrived. Not somewhere new, but where you've always been. Here, in this breath, in this stillness, in this moment, where there is nothing left to seek, because nothing was ever truly missing. And if you can sit here without striving, without story, without identity, if you can sit here and feel the breath rise and fall and say, "This is enough," then you are free, not because something changed, but because something stopped. The fight, the grasping, the forgetting. And in the absence of all that, truth shines through, not in fireworks, but in simplicity, in the quiet, in the ordinary, in the space between heartbeats, where you feel without effort the hum of the eternal. And in that hum, a voice not made of sound speaks. You have always been this. You have never been separate. You are already home.